Hi there, crafty friends. Welcome and thank you for joining me. Today I thought we would make another birthday card to add to the stash of cards I want to give one of my crafty friends. And I thought we would use Pink Fresh Studio Lush Elegance. So in this suite, there is the coordinating stamp. There is a coordinating press plate, which I will be using, the coordinating die, and the stencils. So I went ahead and I hot foiled my image and I used the variety pack. This is silver, pewter, copper, and I used the polished brass. I really like this darker color. Let's see how this came out. And of course, that came out beautifully. So let's get to stenciling. I am going to trim this down. We can add our stencil, and this lines up beautifully. I will add a little bit of tape just for some extra insurance because your stencil does not always stick down there perfect. And we are keeping it very simple today with 4 colors. I wanted this card to go really quickly. I'm coming in with some grassy knoll. I'll just get that whole thing covered nicely. And I want that variation. I don't want to get the whole image. We've got a little bit of lighter areas. Then I will also bring in olive and a smaller brush. And we're just going to do shading at the base of these leaves. It's going to be pretty simple, pretty quick. And I just want some variations in color. And I can also look through the stencil and see where the base of the flowers are, and I will go in heavier at those areas. You can see those flowers. I think that's good. And this is a 5-piece stencil set. It goes really quickly. So now we're on stencil number 2, and this is our flowers. And I'm going to come in with some bubble gum. And I am going to go heavier on one side. Actually, that's a little heavier than I wanted entirely, but we're going to work with it. Then I will come in with some Raspberry Bliss. And we will continue on that one side just to make these flowers a little darker. Just like that. And then for my little tiny one here, I'll just come in at the base. Super quick, super easy, hoping for big impact here. And now we can come in with stencil number 3. And this is the centers of those flowers. So I'm coming back in with Raspberry Bliss on stencil number 3. And I just want that to be heavier. Now we've got stencil number 4. And this will be our little buds and the centers of our flowers. And I want these pretty dark, so I'm going to come in heavy. I think that's good. Now we've got our 5th and final stencil, and this is just the accent on our leaves. And I will come in with olive for that. And I'm not going to worry about covering everything, but I am going to concentrate on the base of those leaves so we can get extra dimension. And we are already done with stenciling. This went so fast. And that is so pretty. That is nice and bright and cheery. So now we can go ahead and get this lined up. We can pop those images out. And I also die cut an extra set of white blanks so I can just make my images a little bit sturdier. I hope everybody is doing well. What have you been working on? Actually, what I want to ask is, what do you listen to while you craft? I am kind of out of things. I was listening to a couple podcasts and I finished them and I need something new to listen to. What is your favorite podcast? What do you listen to while you are crafting? So our images are stacked. I've got my card base. I've got a 4¼ by 5½ inch panel here. And then I also brought in my interlaced quatrefoil die, and I die cut that twice and I stacked that, and we are going to add that to our panel. But first, let's get some color on that panel, but I'm not sure which might look better. So we're going to add pink to one side. I didn't even add any ink to that. And then we'll take our green brush and we'll add some green to the back and see which we like better. So we're just going to lay that on there and kind of place our flowers along with our sentiment and see which background color we like best. I think I like the pink a little better. I think we will go with the pink background. So I'm just going to add liquid glue to my interlaced quatrefoil die. And I'll just make sure all of that is pressed down. Then we can bring back in our sentiment. And I hot foiled that in that matching brass from My Favorite Things Sentiments. I love this set. There are so many good sentiments in here. And I was hoping this sentiment would substitute for happy birthday. I mean, because you can write on the inside. So it says, I hope today is filled with your favorite things. And then on the inside, we would write happy birthday. So I think we will bring that flower right there. Let's put this one down here. And I think we need to trim this. This is a little bit big. So let's trim that right there. And then we can add this one down here in that corner. I think that's perfect. Let's bring in some thick foam squares and strategically look at our flowers and place some foam squares behind the flowers where they won't hit that background die. So I will just kind of fluff up my flowers a little bit before I press those down. And then I will take a little bit of liquid glue and add to the bottom of my stem here. And then I can tuck that right in there. I'll hold that one down for a minute. I'll take a look at this one and add some foam squares. Then with a little liquid glue on that stem, I'll place this one. Then I've done the same thing with my sentiment. I've kind of strategically held that over my die cut and figured out the best place to place my foam strips. Then I can add my sentiment. That looks straight. Then I can add my panel to my card base. And for that, I'll just use liquid glue because this is a 4¼ by 5½ panel. And that card is done. I love the delicate look you get with that polished brass foil. And when you tilt it in the light, it is just amazing. I added my panel to a top folding card base. I also added some glitter drops in leaf, and it is perfect. I also did one in black foil, and you get quite a different look. I like the bolder black outline, but I am also a big fan of the softer foil. Which is your favorite? Please leave me a comment. Please give me a thumbs up. Thank you so much for spending time with me, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.